Is being a digital nomad really everything that it's made out to be? Is it really as blissfully enjoyable of a life as people say it is? Kind of, kind of. I'd say it's decently close to being blissfully enjoyable, but just like anything, nothing is perfect. Um, and ultimately, you have to decide for yourself if it's something that you really want to pursue. What I want to do in this video is kind of give you guys my background, my story as to how I got to this point, how I became a digital nomad, and yeah, just tell my story, tell you some of the lessons that I had to learn along the way, some of the obstacles that I did have to overcome, and ultimately just give some advice to you guys and help inspire some of you guys to take a similar path if it's something that you want to accomplish. So, my name is Esteban. I am an American expat living here in Asunción, Paraguay, and I am a digital nomad. Truth is, I'm not very nomadic. I'm really more of just a digital. Like I'm digital, but when I think of nomad, I think of people who roam around often, right? Like when you think of the conventional, I guess the historical definition of nomad, right? It's a group of people who travel and don't really have one set place. You know, they would live in the steppes of Central Asia, for example, and they would hunt their prey and they would never really settle down. So I'm definitely, if you've watched my videos, you know this already, but I'm a firm believer in becoming digital, meaning having the flexibility to live wherever you want, and then planting your roots in the place where you can build the best lifestyle for you. In my case, that is Asunción, Paraguay for the time being, and I have tons of content on Paraguay if you want to learn about it. But I'm not someone who lives out of Airbnbs or is traveling around from destination to destination, because I just don't think that's quite as productive and as fulfilling as finding a place that's really, really calls your name and growing there and making the most of that destination. So the most important part with becoming a digital nomad, I'm just going to keep using that for, I don't know, SEO sake, and just because it's something that, you know, people understand and resonate with. The most important part for becoming a digital nomad is having an online income, right? At the end of the day, you know, money talks, I guess, or, you know, money buys us freedom. Does it buy you happiness? No. But I think that money buys you freedom, and depending on what you do with your freedom, then you can find happiness. But you have to have the freedom to begin with, and in this world, this cruel world we live in, you have to have the money first in order to be able to have the freedom. So, the most important part is how do you make your money, right? So, what do I do for a living? I'm actually currently, I guess, working right now. I have a little bit of a break, so that's why I decided to turn on this this video here. Speaking of, let me put this tab up here just in case a call comes in. I am an online sales rep. I'm a salesperson who, you know, makes their sales over phone calls and Zoom calls. And what do I sell specifically? I sell residential solar systems in the United States. So yeah, I sell solar virtually. So I can personally speak very deeply on being an online sales rep, like, you know, being a high ticket salesperson, a setter, a closer, like I can really speak on that, and I will in this video. But there's a million different ways to skin this cat, right? As I'm sure you've heard, there's a bunch of different business models. There's a bunch of different ways to make money online, get rich online. And it takes you as someone who wants to make this happen to kind of filter out to find which one's best for you, which one's actually realistically achievable, and which one is ultimately going to give you the sort of work-life balance that you're going to want to have once you do have that freedom and once you do move to the place that you really want to live in. I personally really like sales, just because it's for the most part, you know, if you're good at it, you can make a good bit of money. That's definitely certain. So that part's nice. It forces you to become a good communicator and become good with people, which I think is an invaluable skill and is useful in all different areas of your life. And it can give you a good bit of freedom as well, on top of the online freedom, right? If you're really good, you don't have to work that hard. Sorry for these WhatsApp notifications. I need to turn them off somehow. If you're really good, you can you should still work hard, but you don't have to grind 14 hours a day. Um, so now let's get back into my story, right? Let's start with my story. Like, how did I get to this point? How did I become someone who sells stuff online and lives in Asunción, Paraguay, and all things considered does really well? Thank God for that. So I'm not going to give you like my whole life story, but I'll start from when I became an adult, right, at 18. So I went to college for 2 years. I did 2 full years of college. I was studying information systems, which is essentially, it's like a blend between information technology and business administration. So it's a BBA, it's a business degree, but it's a lot more tech focused. So I thought, oh, that would be perfect. I can become like a data scientist or like an analytics guy, or I can, start a tech company, or I even thought of doing tech sales, or do some sort of consulting work, right? And all of the random little online websites that rank degrees based off of how much money they made said that information systems was one of the better options. I was like, okay, screw it, let's do it. So 2 full years in, and college was great. I mean, I learned a lot just from personal development standpoint. I really didn't learn that much in terms of material. No one does. Most of the stuff that you learn is going to be on the job. But after my second year, I was like, okay, I need to find an internship. Because, that was just like what everyone was doing, right? Like, that was the next step in the matrix was, okay, you go to college, but then if you work internships over the summer, then you'll be like a very good candidate when it comes time to apply for a full-time job because you'll have some sort of experience. So I'll never forget it. I was laying in bed in my apartment. I was at the University of Georgia, by the way, is where I was going. And there was an online job fair that morning. And I was kind of like, it was a sluggish day. I barely made it out of bed to hop on that job fair. But I did. Somehow I did. I just got out of bed. I was like, all right, screw it. I was wearing shorts with a suit jacket and a shirt, right? So I was wearing half a suit. I was like, all right, screw it. I'm going to get on the job fair. So it's basically like a bunch of companies, and then they would pull you into a chat room. And the company that pulled me in was a solar company, right? To sell solar door to door. And they were like, dude, like you can make so much money. It's an easy sale. Like just come out with us and knock doors. Like we'll hire you right away. We're having a social event at this bowling alley in Atlanta this weekend. Like you should come. I was like, all right, screw it. So I came. They hired me right away, 100% commission. So it's like, of course they're gonna hire me right away. Like, why not? Like, just give me a shot. And I started doing it. I was a setter, so I would just knock the doors just to set the appointments. This was in April when I started, and May was an incredible month for me. I was by far the best setter in the company. Wasn't a big company, and the competition wasn't that high anyways. But it at least like boosted my ego, right? I went out there and I was knocking doors. And I had to overcome the fear of knocking doors, of talking to people, of walking on people's grass, of kind of interrupting people's privacy in order to pitch a product and be creative and be witty on the spot. And I was only 19 years old at the time, and I was seeing success. And then I started closing my own deals, and I saw a bunch of success doing that as well. October and September of that year, August and September, July and August was super successful for me. I had my friend come to set appointments with me, and it was great. And I made really good money that summer, all things considered, for my age. I'll be transparent with you guys. I made around $30,000 or $40,000 that summer. Slinging solar deals at 19 years old for the very first time. So then I'm thinking, okay, like I've got a full-time job here, right? Like at least I have a full-time income. Like if I were to do it all year at the same pace, I could make 6 figures. So now that's easier said than done. But then I got back to college in August and I thought, okay, I really don't need to be here. I don't need to be here. I was in class designing systems for appointments I had later that day. So I was like, let me just do this full time. I dropped out of college and I went and did it full time. Then I did it for about another year and a half. And here's where we start to get to the digital nomad part. I did it for about another year and a half for 2 different companies with varying degrees of success. Some months I did really well. Some months I did awfully. I moved around a bunch. South Georgia, Central Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, and Florida up until this point. So basically like all over the Southeast. And I had some months where I did great. I had some months where I didn't make a dollar. But I learned a lot. It was a great experience. It forced me to mature very fast. And then I was like, okay, I need to make my money online so I can finally move to Latin America. So at this point, moving to Latin America had been a dream of mine for several years, ever since I was around 15 or 16 years old. In my mind, I had Colombia as the destination. Of course, now I'm here. I'm not in Colombia. But in my mind, it was like Colombia is the spot. So it's like, how can I get to Colombia, right? But ultimately, Colombia or not, how can I make the money online? That's the important part. So what I do is like, okay, I know how to sell. I have sales experience and I have a track record. I have a resume to back it up. So I can apply for sales positions and I can get hired. How can I sell online? I discovered high ticket closing, right? Remote closing. And I was like, how can I start doing this? Well, screw it. Let's buy a course. Let's buy a course. Boom, $10,000. Now, this topic is definitely a sensitive one. Some people are more pro, investing in yourself and buying courses and coaching and stuff like that and just doing it and taking the risk. Some people think that it's a complete waste of money and it's always a scam. I think it's somewhere in the middle. But I definitely lean more on the side to where whether it's a course or not, investing in yourself is a good idea. Up until I was 21 years old, so from like 19 to 21, throughout this whole process of transitioning into working online, working on different jobs, I'll speak more on how it actually turned out later on, and just improving and building my network and going to events and even fitness coaching I bought as well. Up until around 21 years old, I probably spent around $30,000 or $40,000 in personal development, which is a lot. Call it 22 years old. And then I've since spent a little bit more, but not quite at that same rate. So think about it. I'm this 21-year-old kid dropping racks on personal development, on self-help, right? And now, was it all worth it? Like, did I make all of that money back from like a pure ROI, dollar for dollar return standpoint? No. Could I have achieved 99% of the same outcome while probably having only spent like $5,000? Yeah. Did I overpay? Hell yeah, I did. For a lot of things, some things more than others. So it's like, sure, you could look at that and be like, oh, like you got scammed or you overpaid. But at the end of the day, there are so many intangibles that you get when you make these kinds of investments. Keep in mind, for the most part, courses are more than just courses. Like in my case, it wasn't just an online course that I sit there and go through module by module. It was that plus group calls, plus one-on-one coaching. Like I had a coach that I would meet with every week, plus group coaching, already said that, plus access to a community. I made friends through it. Some of those friends are still very good friends of mine to this day. I went to events. I built up my network. I learned so much. I made mistakes, right? And all in all, throughout the process, I just grew so much as a person, way more than I would have grown had I stayed in college, that's for sure. Yeah, I remember some of my friends, when I would go back home, I told them what I was doing and how much I was spending, but they laughed at me. And nowadays, bro, I wouldn't trade positions with them for the world. I'm sure they're still doing fine. Like, I'm not going to knock anyone for having finished college, but most people nowadays who finish college live pretty mediocre lives on the other side of it. So yeah, I was just when I dropped those first 10,000 and bought the program, I was 19. No, I was 20. So I was just like, screw it, dude. Like, let's figure it out. Let's go. Let's make it happen. Let's find a way. This is a lot of money. This hurts. Shout out to American Express for giving me such a recklessly high credit limit. But we'll figure it out. It's not smart. I'm not smart. I don't care. And that's a part of the value that you get from it as well. Now, I'm not saying you have to buy courses or invest in yourself or buy coaching or anything like that to make money online. But in my case, it fueled me. I went into credit card debt. At some point, I had outstanding credit card debt that I wasn't able to pay. Like I went above my means. But it fueled me to just figure it out, just find a way. And that fire that it lit under me was like, it's something you can't really put into words. And it's an experience that very few people, I think, will be able to live, let alone at that age, right? Most people don't take those kinds of risks, and I did. And again, should I spend that much money? Probably not, but it got me somewhere. So now, continuing on, through that program that I bought, I was able to get coaching and get connected to opportunities and get job interviews. They helped me land interviews for companies and meet friends. And some of those jobs that I landed were terrible. Like at least 3 or 4 of them were not good. Like they just either didn't make money or I didn't make enough. But I learned a lot of lessons along the way. I also tried to become an insurance agent right before that. That didn't work out. I was going through this churn, and it was a very rocky start in terms of online sales. Then I went back into solar door to door, and I had a good year. This was in 2024 at this point. I went back into solar. I had a good year. And then I went back into online sales again. In this case, online solar, right? A breed between the two. And it's worked out very well, all things considered. Now, if for some reason I had to leave this company, I know I could find another good job, another good online sales job. I have the network, I have the connections, I know how to do it, I know how to interview. So it's like, I have a sense of job security that I didn't have before, and I'm very grateful for that. Again, do you need to do what I did in order to get into the door? No. Here's what I would recommend. If you want to do online sales specifically, start in door to door, especially if you live in the US. Door to door is pretty much hiring anyone with a pulse. And the income ceiling is super high. I mean, solar is changing a lot recently, but I know guys in solar who have made well over $1 million in a year. Well over $1 million. Just closing solar deals, driving around, knocking doors, going into homes, making stupid money. I never had that level of success, but I did all right. But whether it's solar, whether it's pest control, whether you're Mormon and you're going on a mission trip, having that sort of in-field, completely cold, like you're knocking a door to a completely cold lead, just prospecting experience is going to strengthen you so much. You're going to become so much wittier, so much better at communicating. You're going to have a better resume, and you're hopefully going to make some money while you're at it. But even if you don't make that much money, it will get you started. And then from there, there's plenty of online appointment setting, which you might want to start with appointment setting because it's easier to get the job, or online closing rules that are out there. You don't have to buy a course in order to get access to them. Although you can, and if you have the money, do it. I would say, yeah, if you have the money, just do it. It's going to fast track you. And then, like I said, you're going to get a bunch of other benefits just like I did. But you can apply online, you can find different communities, you can find your way to land these jobs. And before you know it, you can be making a very healthy income online, and you can live wherever you want, and boom, now you have the freedom that you can then utilize to find the happiness. But you have to get that initial experience first, and that's how I would recommend you do it. Outside of that, if it's not sales, it can be whatever you want. It can be drop shipping, it can be trading, right? Futures trading, Forex trading, crypto, whatever it is. Affiliate marketing, teaching language online. There's a million different business models. Social media, that's a huge one. Bro, there's people who make these TikTok accounts who are promoting products, or doing reviews on AI tools. That's a huge one. Bro, make YouTube videos doing reviews on AI tools. I'm just throwing that out there. You'll get affiliate commissions like crazy. And those videos also get good AdSense. So like you can start making content online in a profitable niche. My niche, for example, Paraguay, and travel and expat life isn't that profitable, all things considered. I'm really just doing this because I'm passionate as hell about it, and because it helps me connect with people, and it opens doors for me, and I know on the back end it's going to pay dividends. But right now I'm not making a dime from this, and I don't necessarily need to. But if you go into a niche that's more profitable and you put your nose to the grindstone and you make it happen, you can easily make that money doing social media. What I'm getting at is there's a bunch of different options. And ultimately what's going to separate the people who accomplish this and who actually make it happen and see the success from those who don't is persistence and just an unwillingness to quit. You're going to have failures, just like I did. Years of failures, most likely, if not weeks or months. You just have to keep going, and you just have to tell yourself, like, I will figure this out. The life that I live back home is not acceptable. I need to move. If that's even motivating you, right? If you want to leave your country, if you want to move to Latin America, you want to come down here to fucking Paraguay, I need to make that happen. Like, you just have to be intentional about doing it. Don't have a backup plan unless you absolutely need it. Oh, I'll go back to college, or I'll go back to my main job, or I'll wash cars or something if it doesn't work out. Like, make it happen, make it work. Remove your backup plans, remove your other options as best you can. Just keep the lights on, live with your parents, live in a cheap rent, whatever you need to do, keep your expenses low and focus on making it happen, and sacrifice all the short-term gratification and the short-term pleasures in your home country. Chances are you're watching this because you are someone who wants to live outside of the West, maybe here in Latin America, and you want to have a good life there. You want to have good friends, and you want to be able to go to cool parties, and you want to be able to eat good food, and you want to be able to date beautiful women. Don't settle for the mediocre versions of all those things in your home country. If you're living in London or in Canada or in the US, and you know that like your friends, you don't even really get along with them that well, the parties aren't that great, it's kind of boring, everything is overpriced, the food's unhealthy, the dating options are terrible, don't try to still get that. Like, just put all that to the side. Don't party, don't date, hang out with a couple of your closest buddies, and that's it, and just make it your mission to go to the place you want to be, and then you can start living your life. Now, life is short, right? Sometimes you do have to live in the moment, so I'm not telling you that this is something where you have to just go monk mode for years and years and years, but the truth is that if you are that intentional about it, it won't be years and years and years. You can make this jump within a year easily. Cost of living out here is not that high when you compare it to the amount of money that you can make online if you do it right. So you really don't need that much to make it happen anyways. Or even better, if you have some money saved up, just buy the flight and go now. Go now. If you can do it, come to Paraguay, go to Colombia, go to Brazil, wherever you want to go, lock yourself in your apartment and just find a way to make it happen. But you have to be super, super intentional about making it happen and just seeing it through all the way. Because what happens is, because this stuff is so entrepreneurial, and because there's so many different videos that are going to be trying to steal your attention, and gurus and influencers and people back home giving you crappy advice, there's going to be so much stuff pulling you in so many different directions that it's super easy to get distracted and give up. And it's super easy to get shiny object syndrome. If you want to try to do drop shipping, do it. Start your store and see it through until you absolutely know that it's not profitable, then you can pivot. But don't get to the point where you haven't even sold your first product and then quit. See it through. If you want to do sales like I have, try 2-3 different offers before you pivot out of sales. Like, if for some reason, let's just say you suck at sales, you get on your first one and they fire you, get on another one. If they fire you, get on a third one. Third time's a charm. Okay, you got fired the third time. All right, 3 strikes, you're out, I guess. But at least you really, really tried. And then I promise you're not going to get fired 3 times. It's not going to take years and years and years. You will be fine. But it's just something that's there's so much flexibility with making money online that there's also so much. It's also just so easily to get distracted. So you just have to be disciplined enough and committed enough to just put on your blinders and focus on the business model that you have chosen and do it until you make the money. What else? I think that's it. I think that's really it. That was a great little rant. And I think I'll leave it there. So yeah, that was my story. I feel like I might have more that I can share here, but I think I've really covered everything. I did online sales. I did door-to-door sales. Then I went into online sales, and now I've been able to figure it out. And it's something super, super achievable for all of you guys. So just make it happen. Just make it happen. Burn the bridges, burn the ships. Quit going out to your local hometown bars. Quit smoking weed for a little while. Quit drinking alcohol. You can smoke weed and alcohol and then drink alcohol when you get down here, or not. I don't do much of it, but what I'm getting at is sacrifice for a little bit. And then once you have that life and you have that freedom, then you can really start to branch off into the things that will really bring you fulfillment. Like for me, for example, it's making this content, right? I have the job. I know what I'm doing. I have my income. I focus on it. I pour a lot of time into it. I'm actually still working right now. I'm staring at my screen here to see if I get a live transfer. And I prioritize my income. But now that I'm kind of set up, I can pivot my focus into other directions. I can make content. I can do events. I can date. I can meet friends. I can look at investment opportunities. I can just go on walks, go to the gym, train hard, go for runs, go travel, right? Go on little day trips. Should be going to Brazil here at the end of the month. But if I were in a position where I was stuck in my case, Atlanta, Georgia, bro, I wouldn't be doing any of that. I would be focusing on getting this income so that way I can go live where I want to and then do the stuff I want to do. So, if there's any other advice or any other tips that you think could be really pertinent and impactful and help drive the needle forward for you, don't hesitate to leave a comment down below. You can also connect with me on Instagram at EstebanExpat. That's a great way to get in touch with me directly. Let me know of any other ideas that you guys have for videos, for whether it be digital nomad / expat stuff like this video was, or if it's something about Paraguay, whatever it is. I'm open to any sort of ideas, and yeah, that's it. Make it happen, and you won't regret it. You won't regret it at all. That life that you're going to have on the other side of the sacrifice will be worth every last bit of. I'll leave it there. See you soon.